Oh hey, cool seeing you here. I was getting ready to adjust my chain. Figured I could show you how to do that. So today's adjustment is going to be on our Paceline 20, and it's also going to work for our 16. So to adjust the chain, we may need to do that if it comes loose or you need to switch between gears. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our loading brake on so that our trike can't roll away, and then we're going to get started removing our basket, which will give us better access to our rear tensioner. So we have our folding tool that came along with the trike. There's a 4mm Allen head or Allen socket that came with it. We're going to remove the 2 bolts that are holding in the basket. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and remove our basket screws. We've already removed one, and we're going to remove the second. We don't want to lose those. Now we can set our basket to the side, revealing our chain tensioner. And you don't have to remove the basket, it's just better for viewing, so don't feel like you need to do that for this procedure. Okay, so as you can see here, our chain has come loose after miles and miles of riding. Because this is a fixed tensioner, it's going to require resetting your chain tension every once in a while. So we're to that point now where our chain is just too loose. So we have 3 bolts back here that need to be addressed. We have a small bolt on the bottom here that adjusts the angle of your lower pulleys for your chain. You have the top bolt that locks the entire assembly together. And then we have a set screw here in the back that holds everything in place so that it can't slip. So again, we're going to use our folding tool that came with the trike. We start with the lower bolt here and loosen. We don't need to fully remove, just so that that's loose. And then with the same folding tool, we can use the 5mm Allen, the silver bolt here in the back. We're going to install that, and then again, just like we did on the lower, we're just going to loosen that bolt, not fully remove it. So here is the bolt that we'll loosen. We're just going to loosen that a 1/4 turn. Once that's loose by hand, we can spin it out just to give us additional room to work. And then our last bolt that we need to loosen is going to require an 8mm Allen wrench. I have one separate here, just so that we can get good power on this bolt, and then we're just going to break this loose. And as you saw on camera, the whole assembly came loose when I loosened this bolt, and I'm going to loosen it another 1/4 turn, just so that everything moves freely. So now you can see I can move this tension arm freely. Okay, so now we're going to start our chain tensioning procedure. So there's an outer plate here that the pulleys are mounted to, and then there's an inner plate that will move separately. So there are small pins on the back side of the inner plate, and I want to make sure that that inner plate is pushed all the way toward the front of the trike. So I'm going to use my thumb to push that forward and my index finger to pull back on this lever here. And hopefully the camera is catching that as I do that, you can see the chain get tighter. So I'm going to hold this in place, and then I'm going to, by hand, start tightening the set screw in the back. Okay, so we're going to take our 5mm Allen that came with your trike, and then what we're going to do is we're going to tighten the set screw in the back here all the way in until we have the desired tension on the chain. So I'm going to do a 1/4 turn, and I'm going to check my chain. It's better than it was, but I think we can still get a little bit better tension. So we're going to do another 1/4 turn, and there we go. Now we have good chain tension. So that set screw is holding the entire assembly together, and then now we'll need to go back in and tighten the 2 bolts here. At this point, prior to setting the set screw, if you were going to be moving between the 2 gears, everything would be the same to this point. You would just pull the chain off of this lower pulley, move it to the other pulley, and then to the other gear, reset your set screw, and then our last 2 steps are to retighten our bolts here. So I'm going to start with my lower bolt using the 6mm that came with the trike, and tighten that up. And then I'm going to use the 8mm wrench that I have separate, and then I'm going to tighten this upper bolt as well. And the last thing that we're going to need to do is tighten the lock nut on the set screw in the back. Okay, so we've tightened our set screw and our 2 bolts here on the side. The only thing we have left to do is to tighten the lock nut that you see here. This keeps this bolt from backing out, so we're going to come in with the adjustable wrench that came with your trike. Once we have the tension set on the chain, then we're just going to tighten this nut up against the bracket so that it can't come loose. And then we're just going to recheck our tension. Again, still good tension there. So now we have our chain tension set. You can see here we've got a little bit of movement in our chain when I pull up and down on it, which is going to allow for easier pedaling. You can go a little bit tighter, but that added stress on the chain is going to make pedaling a little bit more difficult. So now our chain tension's fully reset. We're just going to reinstall our basket, and then we're off and riding. Thank you guys for joining us today, learning how to reset the chain tension on your Paceline 16, Paceline 20. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our customer service team at our main number, extension 116. And then if you have any tech support questions, reach out to our tech support group at extension 117. Thanks so much.